Ben Cline joining us. He is Congressman-Elect Ben Cline, Republican from Virginia's 6th District. That is in the Lynchburg, Roanoke area. He is taking over for the retiring, he's still there a month, Bob Goodlatte, who is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. And Bob Goodlatte, the one negotiating the deal for Jim Comey to come and testify, and says that he's going to make his comments public after the private testimony. And, of course, Comey lied to Congress, but he doesn't go to jail. So like Corey Lewandowski said, selective justice is really what we've got going on. Welcome to the Swamp, Ben Cline, winner of the office lottery. Ben, great to have you, man.
John, it's great to be with you, and I'm ready to go to the Swamp and fight Nancy Pelosi. Tell you what.
I'm excited that you're up here in Denver because it's going to be a lot of fun. And I've only got one piece of advice to you. I gave the same to Denver. As tough as it is with a family, don't live in the office. You know, Dave did that, and I counseled him against it because I said, look, you live in the office there, you become isolated because, you know, you save money, you get your cot, and you do all that, but you simply become isolated. And I think it's just not a good thing. I think you need to get your own place, bite the bullet, and you can stay out by me in Eastern Market and stuff, but you have a lot of fun. But you got to get out of there. That's my only piece of advice.
I don't know how much fun it's going to be. I'm going up there to do a job, and it's going to be hard work fighting the liberals and, you know, the folks in my own party who don't want change. And there are people in my party who don't want change, and they're in for a fight as well.
What are going to be your priorities, Ben? I mean, you're in the minority now. I know you've put in for what committees you want to serve on, but when you say fight your own party, sum that up for me.
Well, you're going to be amazed at how fast people remember things like deficit spending and things like balanced budgets that have forgotten them for a long time. I mean, there are a lot of Republicans out there who conveniently forgot about the need to balance our budget and put our fiscal house in order. And now, as we all unite to vote against Pelosi's deficit spending and imbalanced budgets and spending on things like Planned Parenthood and other liberal agenda items, you're going to see all Republicans all of a sudden singing from the same song sheet, or at least they better, because I'm not just going to be reminding people of the need to get our fiscal house in order, but I'm going to be holding their feet to the fire and making sure that everybody knows just who's with us and with the people and who's with the Swamp and Nancy Pelosi.
Ben Cline with us, Congressman-Elect Ben Cline, 6th District of Virginia. That's the Southwest Virginia area, replacing the retiring Bob Goodlatte, and he'll be coming to Washington. Well, he has to do other preliminary stuff, but he'll be inaugurated soon. Ben, you won the office lottery, which was a big deal. I mean, there was 85 or 84, 6 new members. You won the office lottery. What does that mean?
The worst lottery on earth. It essentially means that after all the senior members pick the better offices, the cruddy offices that are left, I get the first pick of them. So, you know, I picked the one with the biggest space for constituents to visit, because the northern part of the district's only an hour from D.C., so we hope to have a lot of folks from the district come up. And then, you know, I've got some hardworking staff who are going to be helping me fight the battles, and I want them to have some good room as well. So we did pick the office that had the second most square footage that was left, and but that pales in comparison to the palaces that the Nancy Pelosi's and you know, the lifers who have been there for 10, 20, 30 years. Those are the offices that I'll probably never see.
Who's the office that you're in? Who was in there in the most recent House?
You know, I know it was a Democrat from up in New England, but I can't remember her name. But she was there for about 3 terms, and now she's moving upstairs. She's just moving on up, as they say, you know, up to palatial estates
She got up to,
in the higher
based
levels.
on seniority, she got a bigger office, so she's going to move. So you get her office. All right, well, that's good. We just had Corey Lewandowski on, and he said one thing Republicans are going to have to deal with right off the bat is Adam Schiff being the new chairman of the Intel, replacing Devin Nunes. And Lewandowski saying that they are going to bring witness in after witness back to the Mueller investigation, and Republicans are going to have to deal with that. What is your view of this whole Mueller thing, Ben, and where it's headed?
Well, I'm worried that it's not a fair investigation. I'm worried that they're only looking at certain angles and certain places instead of the whole problem that started all the way back during the previous administration when there was a concerted effort by the administration to stop Donald Trump during the campaign and help elect Hillary Clinton. These are the types of investigations that are not getting traction. The Democrats are stalling. Mark Warner's on Senate intelligence, not interested in pursuing that kind of investigation. So we've got a slanted playing table, and it's only going to get more slanted. And so folks out there need to know that what they hear coming out of the Nancy Pelosi house is not the whole story, is not the fair investigation that they keep talking about. And I'm hoping that we can get some answers, but I've been hoping that we could get some answers when Republicans were in control, and we weren't seeing that. So it's not a good place to be.
Very interesting that you say that, because the Democrats are going to put a lot of political capital in bringing witness, dragging witness after witness in, and subpoena after subpoena, getting nothing done for the country. That's going to be the bottom line, right? Let's get to the replacement of NAFTA, NAFTA. You're going to have to vote on that. That's probably one of the first actions, Ben, you're going to take up, the president replacing that with a new deal. But that's got to be approved by the new Congress coming in. Having looked at that, where do you stand on that now?
Well, I'm still looking at it. It was decided and signed. I believe it was signed by the president last week. And so I'd love to be on the Ways and Means Committee that has jurisdiction over trade matters, but that's what they call an A committee. And so I haven't put in enough time and enough sweat to earn a place on the Ways and Means Committee. I think there are no freshmen that get put on that committee. So I'm going to hopefully work my way up to it. But I've asked for judiciary, which is going to have its own fights. Gerald Nadler has already said he'd love to have impeachment hearings against Kavanaugh and try and pull him off the bench, the Supreme Court, no sooner than he's just been put on. And so I anticipate if I can get on Judiciary Committee, we'll be able to stand up for the rule of law and stand up for conservative values and the Second Amendment, the right to life, and make sure that people like Sheila Jackson Lee, who are senior members of that committee, are not going to just be able to shred the Constitution.
Government shutdown, the Republicans are threatening that. Certainly the president is saying that if he can't get the $5 billion for his wall, he's going to be open to a government shutdown before Christmas. You're not going to be there seated yet for part of that debate. But I got to tell you, Ben, my experience with these shutdowns, going back to Newt Gingrich in 1995, every single government shutdown driven by Republicans or Democrats gets blamed on the Republicans and becomes a PR political disaster. Do you see any upside in that strategy? Because I don't.
I'm not sure that there is much upside to it, because what you want is when Republicans are in charge, you want to make sure that government policies reflect conservative values and that government functions efficiently and effectively. And when it can get wrapped around the necks of Republicans, the media is going to make sure that it does. So, even when Democrats controlled the White House and Republicans controlled Congress, the shutdown in 95 got wrapped around Newt Gingrich's neck. And I just think that it will be messy right around the holidays. And even though we don't need a lot of the government agencies that would be shutting down, and I'd love to shut a lot of them down permanently, I think that there is the ability for the media to say, see, the Republicans can't govern, that's why you need to vote for Democrats.
No question about it. Look, I don't know if we're going to get the funding for the wall. Maybe we can get some of it, but I think a government shutdown is a disaster. We're with Congressman-Elect Ben Cline from the 6th District of Virginia. He'll be seated in January. He's replacing the retiring Judiciary Chairman, Bob Goodlatte, same district, obviously. Ben, your top priorities when you get there, if you could, everybody has them. They don't always work out, but you had a vision when you ran for Congress, didn't know who was going to be in the majority. Now you do. So they might have changed a little bit. Ben Cline's top priorities 2019, what are they?
Well, it's going to be to stop Nancy Pelosi from implementing her agenda. First and foremost, I've got my conservative agenda. I've been working in the state legislature to achieve it. It involves cutting taxes, eliminating government agencies, reducing regulations, and the like. But all of that stops when Nancy Pelosi gets that speaker's gavel, and we have to become a fighting force unified against her agenda because she's dangerous. She's the daughter of Baltimore politician. That Baltimore style is a hard-edged style, and she knows how to count the votes. She's not going to worry about any freshman like Orozco Cortez who's joining sit-ins outside her office. She'll just brush her aside and say, thank you, because she already got her vote for Speaker after she campaigned against Nancy Pelosi, was able to win the primary, beat Crowley or whatever his name was, who had been in there for 30 years, was her lieutenant, came in threatening to vote against her, and she's already saying she's going to vote for her. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is one of the toughest politicians out there, and we've got to fight with every ounce, and every person out there needs to join the fight against this Pelosi agenda because that's how we got Obamacare last time, and that's how we got these environmental regulations that are killing businesses and jobs. So we've got to stop her this time, and that's why I'm going up to join the fight.
It's going to be quite the fight, look, because as a freshman in the minority, you don't get a lot of love, as you know, as I've covered it. And as President Trump has said, sometimes he doesn't get a lot of love, especially from me, in Utah. But it's a little bit different. It's going to be a tough thing to do, but I love your attitude. I think it's refreshing and energetic. And this is the good thing about getting new blood in Congress. You get a new level of enthusiasm. I want to close with the caravan. The president really, I don't think, Ben, getting the credit he deserves on this because his policies on the caravan have been successful. They haven't been able to crash the border like they wanted to. 1,000 of caravan members have gotten Mexican work visas, which is an improvement for them for a 12-month period. 2,000 have applied for asylum in the United States legally in our ports of entry, staying outside of the border in Tijuana. That's going to take some time, but they did it legally. On average, only about 25% of those actually get approved through the process. But 2,500 of them have applied for repatriation to go back. So they came in the caravan to bum rush the border. They couldn't get through. And they didn't even apply for the asylum, Ben, because they knew they wouldn't get approved. So they're going back. How do you criticize the president's policies so far on this?
I think the president's doing a great job focusing on securing the border and establishing the rule of law when it comes to immigration. We have to build the wall. We have to secure our borders. And when we have a process that folks can look to and say, oh, that's the process that doesn't take years, it only takes months to get a visa, and then you have visas available for workers who want to come into this country and do work that is needed in this country, not just workers with no training and no education. We want workers for jobs that are needed, science, technology, So the president is doing exactly what he should be doing, and holding their feet to the fire when it comes to, securing our border and making sure that our law enforcement has the resources they need. We've got to continue to press the Congress leaders to provide the funding for that law enforcement at the border, hold their feet to the fire, and make sure that at the end of the day, the budget includes the money that's needed to keep our citizens safe.
Ben Cline, we're out of time. I want to thank you for being with us. Ben Cline is the newly elected Congressman-Elect Ben Cline from the 6th District of Virginia. He'll be taking a seat in January with the other, how many are there, 85 new members?
85, that's right.
85 new members. This is one of the biggest incoming new member class we've had in some time. 85 new members from both sides of the aisle.
Unfortunately, only 31 are Republican.
Yeah, I know, only 31. Well, that's what happens when you lose control. But, Ben, I just had Corey on. I'm part of, as you know, Trump 2020 re-elect advisory board member that. And I really believe you guys are going to win the House back because you're only 18 seats down. 16 seats that the Democrats won, get this, 16 seats were won in congressional districts that President Trump carried in 2016, that he's likely to carry again in 2018. So the Democrats really on the defensive. It's almost the exact opposite, Ben, of what happened in these midterms. So I think if you just hang in there, I think we're going to win the House back. We're going to keep a majority in the Senate. President Trump is going to get reelected in 2020, only bigger, and then you're going to be back in the majority.
Well, the more we fight these next 2 years, the better the results will be in 2020 for us, for Congress, for Republicans, and for America. So
Ben
thank you,
Cline,
John.
Loaded for bear. Come to Washington. Again, Ben, my only advice is do not stay in the office. You just become too isolated, man. You got to get out. Get out of there,
advice.
Walk to your little studio apartment, wherever it is, get some fresh air, stop at the McDonald's or wherever you eat, the Chick-fil-A or whatever. But the people that stay in the office, I really think it hurt Dave when he did that. You save money, but you become just part of that thing. I would get the hell out.